Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Spider-Man 2002 game review. Now, as you know, Spider-Man is meant to be a 2002 action-adventure video game that is meant to be based on Spider-Man, as well as being a tie-in to the 2002 Spider-Man film that was directed by Sam Raimi. What's interesting is that the game was developed by Treyarch and published by Activision. And keep in mind, at a time, Activision were doing Marvel games like X-Men, Hulk, Fantastic Four, and so many other ones. And the game had different ports: GameCube, Microsoft Windows, PS2 and Xbox. Now, the premise of the game is that you mainly start off as Peter Parker, and unlike other games, you mainly got a section of levels that you have to complete. Now, pretty much in the first three, you mainly start off in the kind of more like wrestling outfit that Peter wore when he battled Bonesaw. So pretty much you have to confront Uncle Ben's killer, who will basically use flash grenades and guns and all that, and in this one, he's apparently the leader of a gang. So in the game, after you beat him, you have to deal with Norman Osborn, as well as dealing with other villains from the comics who appear in the game, like Shocker, Vulture, Scorpion, and what's interesting, in the Xbox version, there is actually Kraven the Hunter. And I would say I was a little bit disappointed that the developers never really done anything with the costumes. Like, keep in mind, since the Sam Raimi series did a lot what they could with the costumes, I felt Activision and Treyarch could have done something with Shocker, Vulture, Scorpion, and all that. And pretty much with the levels itself is pretty much you having to complete them, dealing with hordes of enemies, as well as battling bosses. I would say when you do battle the Green Goblin, he is quite a challenging foe, and will basically not give you a break. And I would also say what's interesting is when you find gold spider icons, they can give you a new move. Red ones can charge your health, and blue ones can recharge your webbing. And what's actually interesting is that the game itself is narrated by Bruce Campbell, the same guy who did the Evil Dead series, and was known for appearing in low-budget cult films. So hearing him be the narrator aged perfectly like fine wine, and it really works. And what's actually interesting is Toby Maguire and also Norman Osborn's voice actor is played by William Defoe. What's interesting, they did get some other actors to sort of replace some of the cast. For example, Mary Jane's actress was replaced with mainly with Kathleen O'Connor. And what's interesting is Josh Keaton himself voiced Harry Osborn. So it's kind of like a foreshadowing to him eventually playing Peter Parker in Spectacular Spider-Man. And I would say that there are some interesting levels that there are. For example, you can do a bowling one where you can knock down hordes of enemies in a sort of bowling style game. You can battle Bonesaw. And there are cheat codes which you can use. For example, Sticky Rice can give you Uncle Ben's killer, basically girl next door Mary Jane. And I think it's a shame they never did cheat codes for the villains and let you sort of use their weaponry in that, which I think is a bit of a letdown. And unlike the other Spider-Man games that are more open world, this one is more sort of like a sort of miniature box thing that you're just going to need to accept and complete the game head on. And I think what's interesting is I feel like the game isn't too bad. It's enjoyable, but I think you can tell Activision were mainly trying to do a tie-in Spider-Man game. I think this one is more of a guilty pleasure. So I think this one definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.